Hello, I'm Phil Svitek, 360 Creative Coach, and in this episode, I want to highlight what I see as the good qualities of Gen Z. Now, before I fully dive into that, the reason I even think about this stuff is because, it's certainly not new to our time. It feels like an ever-present aspect of a lot of our culture where the older generations rag on the younger ones, saying they're young and naive and don't know anything. The younger generations, say to the older ones, you're outdated and out of touch, blah, blah, blah. And neither of which I think is good, ultimately. And I think there's value from all generations that we need to bring forth. Certainly there are cultures that value their elders because of the wisdom and experience that they have and so forth. And I think we need to get to that healthier place where we see the value of each other overall for the collective whole. And as part of that, that's why I want to kind of today highlight Gen Z, because in many ways the more I get to learn and see various aspects of Gen Z, the more I'm inspired. Now, of course, I'm going to be kind of stereotyping the very good aspects of it. But of course, like with any individual, right, there's no individual that's good or bad ultimately. People have good actions that they take and people have bad actions that they take. And, some people take more bad actions than good and vice versa. But, I think to use generalizations can be, it's not beneficial. But in this sense, I think, highlighting the good aspects of various people and many people that I have seen in the Gen Z generation, I think is of use to us and to anyone, right? So, number one, there's this aspect that, that they're lazy, entitled, and so forth, right? And when I really think about that, what I look at the root cause of it is that loyalty at work in many ways is just not rewarded. Promotions aren't what they used to be as far as finances. You're much more likely to get a raise by leaving a company than staying for many, many years at a company. So that's why like the whole idea of staying loyal to a company just in that way doesn't make sense. And also in many ways the ideal of the American dream of, just work for a company and, you'll be able to afford a house and so forth is just not there, right? And so this is, I think, crucial to understand about Gen Z is because they recognize this and for them, it's like, okay, if you're not going to be loyal to me, why should I be loyal to you? And, the very good aspect of it is they know where the bag is and they're unafraid to go after it and get it and do it. And what I mean by the bag, it's a slang term, let's say, and it means, where the money is. They know they can make money in various ways. And in fact, most times, like, working for another company is not going to get them the money that they desire in their life. And I see a lot of Gen Zs being able to, earn money in non-traditional ways, which irks, people of older generations because, I could see that being triggering to them in that aspect of, well, this is what I did and, why do you get to have it be different? And all of a sudden you're making like more money than me, let's say, doing what could seem like a silly thing. So yeah, I get why that's triggering to other people, but it shouldn't be because, in the capitalist society that we sort of built up, it's like, well, they're just, they're using the marketplace to their advantage and, finding the money, right? And another component of that is they realize there's like the rules of everything are just kind of BS. And, so they're throwing out the rule book. They're not playing by the rules. And that's what, again, I think, especially like the older up you go, let's say, the more people get frustrated by that is because they're just not playing by those rules. And part of that is, as I kind of touched upon, the old rules don't work. And so why should they be playing by those rules, so to speak, right? And, there's that sense of frustration that, essentially they've, the American dream, a lot of the promise of that, like, the white picket fence and the middle class family, like it's non-existent. So yeah, they have no shame of just going for it and making it work for them. And also there's to many of Gen Zers, there's an aspirational aspect of that, of trying, and listen, I'm not saying it isn't misguided at times and that, everything that they're doing is right. I think ultimately, like all things, the pendulum has to swing one way, and then, so this is kind of an attempt to, make up for, swing that pendulum in the complete opposite side. And I think ultimately, it's a testing of the barriers and boundaries. And I don't think that's a bad thing because, we'll figure out what works and what doesn't and kind of end up in this more of a middle ground of, okay, yeah, let's do this because this is beneficial, right? But I think there's that aspect of it. Yeah, they're testing the boundaries of that, and also because on an existential level, they feel done wrong by the older generations and kind of put into this place, and so they don't have time to wait for anyone else. And I say this like an example in Louisiana, let's say. The beaches are deteriorating and so forth. And there's a whole group of Gen Zers that collectively got together and like are legitimately helping rebuild the beaches, right? And they're not waiting for people in, through the political system to approve or this, blah, blah, blah. Like they're doing it, right? And that to me is a very inspiring aspect of just like being solution oriented and being the solution rather than seeing somebody else as the solution, right? So, these aspects that I see in this young generation is really inspiring, and these aspects are ones that I would love to emulate more for myself because they are healthy. Now, as I said, I think there was a lot to be benefited from older generations as well. And in a future episode, I'm going to sort of highlight, what I think are the good traits of the older generations and things like that. And hopefully that just in general, starts a ripple effect of getting people to think about like that, how to combine the two and, evolve as a collective. But, I know these are broad generalizations, but these are the good aspects that I think we can all sort of adopt in various ways. But it all starts with kind of identifying it and then thinking about it and reflecting it upon ourselves. And so that's what I invite you to do right now. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? But most importantly, why, right? I think that's in order to have a healthy discussion, as I've tried to do, highlight the various aspects of all of it, of why I think this, right? And so I encourage you to do the same, and I would love to, just kind of see where your head's at in regards to all of this. Thank you so much. I truly do appreciate you taking the time to listen, and I hope to see you next time.